Good morning. Happy Sunday. I apologize for the lack of videos over the last several days. Of course, family takes precedence over YouTube, so you get what you get. I must also admit that I haven't really watched any videos since, I don't know, Wednesday? I think Wednesday was the last day I watched any videos. Well, I can jump on Discord and tippy type away. There's a, I don't know, it just doesn't look right putting in headphones and blocking out family. So I chose to not do that. I did, however, see that News Now OKC was initially arrested for filming in the library. It's funny, for an arrest, he was certainly free when he started filming again. You know, it's one of those things where if you want to think that, you know, some violence occurred and you're willing to take his word for it, then that's great. Otherwise, I see the officer reaching, or the off-duty guy, I saw him reaching for the phone and then the phone went off. So, was there violence? I don't know. Was the violence justified? I don't know. I just don't know. I do know, however, that Oklahoma has some pretty relaxed trespassing laws. It's very hard to get trespassed from public property in Oklahoma. And that's just looking at the statute. That's not looking at any case law. No, I'm not going to go to the law library to research Oklahoma trespassing laws. We can judge by the general asshattery of News Now Patrick and his protege, News Now OKC, to see that the officials basically have their hands tied when it comes to trespassing people. You really have to screw up pretty good. Anyway, that said, let's talk about your right to freedom of speech in a library. Essentially, you have none. I know people get confused when they see that there are books in libraries and they think, well, books are speech, and so I should be allowed to speak in libraries. But you have to remember that the authors who wrote those books, the publishers who published those books, didn't do so in the library. The library gets to choose what books it buys. Therefore, it gets to choose what speech you hear at the library. I know some of the anarchists who watch me are just very upset right now, but the library gets money and the library gets to choose how it spends the money. And yeah, they get to choose what books you have access to at the library. And if you don't like it, well, there's that whole capitalism system where you can go out and buy the book you want to read if the library doesn't have it. Libraries also get to control your web access at the library. They can control what sites you go to and what sites you don't go to, thus curtailing your right to hear the speech you want to hear. But where people seem to be confused is they think that because you get to hear speech, you get to hear someone else's words or read them. It's a library, you have to read. Although with books on tape, I guess that's not really a thing anymore. Anyway, with the libraries being full of speech, much of it political in nature or religious, people are under the mistaken assumption that the library is therefore some sort of a public forum. And it's not. We all know of and have seen the librarian go tsh, trying to keep you quiet. I have no idea what he's eating, but he's eating something. Is it delicious, buddy? Huh? You're not going to look at me because you don't want me to take it away, huh? You get down? No? Still chewing? I miss them, and yet at the same time, it was nice to not have them. It's that weird thing. It's like with kids, or at least what I imagine it would be like with kids. I don't have 10 of them, so, you know. He's still, come on, get it, eat it or drop it, one of the two. Anyway, yeah, so libraries aren't free speech zones. Libraries aren't public forums. You're not allowed to go into the library under First Amendment analysis. There is no protected right for you to speak in a library. There is none. Now, the state may not have a law which allows them to trespass you from the library, or they may not have, the library may not have a policy directly on point to filming, because it is a relatively new phenomenon. Congratulations to News Now OKC for rubbing his two brain cells together to come up with that one. He got his drama. He got his pound of flesh. So they may not have policy on point yet. But just like with Padilla, you know, you go into some place and you act. I saw people in the comments saying that they should get a group of auditors down there to hold a protest, apparently, in the library. That's ridiculous. Speaking of ridiculous, there's a video that floated around. Black Lives Matter, I think it was, held a protest in a library. And this Asian guy comes out and says, "It's a library, quiet!" And then they just sit there in shocked silence. He turns around and he goes back inside. I've been asked, why do you hate civil rights activists? And that's a stupid question, because it assumes a fact, not an evidence. It's the whole joke, you know, when did you stop beating your wife? You know, you're assuming if you get the guy to say, you know, any date, then he's admitted to beating his wife. Oh! All these highly intelligent people asking highly intelligent questions. I know, but I strongly suspect that the bulk of the believers are 1 or 2 standard deviations below average IQ at this point. It's just absolutely amazing. I'm not saying all are, hashtag not all, but I'm saying that there are quite a few people who lack the basic skills to understand even what I'm saying, let alone to crack open a law book or understand more nuanced things than what I put out. But why do you hate civil rights activists? And I don't. And here's a good example of how someone can hate what somebody does and not what someone's about. When in the summer there was a black man who was shot by the police, and in Illinois, in Chicago, and in protest they walked down the freeways, shutting down these freeways, right? If you were on that freeway, you would hate every last person there walking. You would hate them. You might agree with them 100%, but you would hate those people walking on that road. You don't hate them because they're activists. You hate them because they're assholes. That's the difference. I support everybody's right to espouse their views. I don't. I think some views aren't as well thought out as others, and I reserve the right to call those people retards. But I support your right to have an opinion and to espouse your opinion. The old saying, I think it was Holmes, you know, your right to swing your arm ends at my nose. once you start crossing into other people's space, once you start making things uncomfortable for everybody else, then I'm going to judge you based on that. Not on your opinion, but on your action. And now somebody who's bright is going to tell me, but the whole point of protesting is to make people uncomfortable. I don't think so. Not in the U.S. I don't think an intelligent approach would be that. An intelligent approach would be to protest in such a way that you gain for long-term gains, like if you really believe in what you're doing, you want to protest in such a way that you change the minds of the masses, and then laws will be implemented, will be changed, will be altered. And because you have those new laws in place, then you've achieved your goals. Now, if you have a short-term gain, if you want to just like piss off a Republican or whatever, then you can have one set of standards. Somebody somewhere once said that you were raped, or that you raped her. And then when, let's say, a Democratic president comes into play, then, those women are just terrible people who should be kept silent, So for long-term change, if actually change is your goal, then you really do need to get people on your side. For short-term, like political gain, then you'd probably be fine. Like if you want to get someone deplatformed, you don't need long-term change. But if you want to change the rules by which people have access to the public square, then that would be more of a long-term goal. And you would want to get the public on your side. If you don't get the public on your side, you don't get that long-term change. So if your goal is to effectuate long-term change by holding public servants accountable, by documenting police interactions, by whatever, the best bet is to really get the public on your side. Because even a circuit court opinion, or even a Supreme Court opinion, will leave room for legislators to come in later and make changes. Just like with Turner v. Driver, you have the court saying, they could still have reasonable time, place, and manner restrictions. Guess who would put those into place? Probably a legislature. So that's my point. You don't want to be an asshole. You still don't want to be an asshole. You might really dislike the cops. You might really dislike the public servants. You might really dislike everybody. You might really dislike me. But at the end of the day, if you don't gain popular public opinion, popular public support, you'll lose. Anyway, that's all I got for today. We should be back on our regular scheduled programming tomorrow. I don't know if I'm going to do anything today. I might, or I might not. Anyway, thanks for watching. Have a great day.